So you were telling me about shoots in the village.
Yeah, that used to start at the Priory with Delmy Ratcliffe.
Yeah.
Laurie Franklin was the main one.
Yes.
We used to meet down the Laurie Franklins at Walnut Tree Farm.
Yeah.
And then we used to go off to the fields.
Yes. Shoot, have a day shooting.
Shoot and line out, wherever the keeper wanted us to go, or the keepers.
Yeah.
And that's it. We used to traipse across the fields and drive the partridge towards the guns, which used to be the other end of the fields.
Yeah.
And that was it.
How did it work then? So, when did you first start doing this?
About 54, 55.
Oh, you were quite young then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because my dad was there, and me and my brother, and Mick Miles was another one, but only about 3 of us old boys.
Yeah, okay.
That's all the rest were sort of teenagers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
bigger boys.
what about all these gamekeepers? Who were the gamekeepers? What were they?
There was 3 keepers.
Yeah.
Bill Anderson was the main one up in Highdown.
Where did he live?
Highdown Cottages.
Yes.
Not on the farm, just down the hill from the...
Towards the Barton Road.
Yeah. From Highdown House,
Yeah. Who was you tell me, who was to be there before Bill Anderson then?
That was Arthur Sopp.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Where I was brought up.
Right. Oh, yes, right.
And the other keeper was Walt Lawrence, when they had the house built in the Barry, Keeper's Cottage.
Oh, yeah, that was in... Oh, right.
Yeah, that was done in the early 50s.
Oh, was that Radcliffe land as well?
Yeah,
then?
that was Ratcliffe's, yeah.
I suppose next door was the police station and
Yeah,
and the
that
nurse
was the
Baldwin's.
nurse. That was all more or less built at the same time.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And who was the other keeper
The other
then?
keeper was Perce Healy, but
Yeah.
he lived on the Priory estate.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he was sort of part-time keeper as well as done the gardens and this,
Yeah.
that and the other. But he's always there for the shoots
Yes.
and working
Yeah.
in between the gardening and whatever
Yeah.
what you're doing.
What sort of things did gamekeepers do then? What were their jobs?
Well, that was all vermin control then and keeping the woods tidy,
What sort of vermin were you talking
Oh,
about?
about weasels, stoats, foxes, and the birds. It'd be magpies and jays and
Yeah.
crows and rooks, all sorts.
Polecats?
Oh, polecats. Yeah.
What did they do then? Did
Well,
they
used
shoot
to,
them or?
trap them and catch them up, shoot them, yeah. And they used to hang them all on the barbed wire, so as you could see what they've been doing.
Right.
Wherever you went about the fields, there's always vermin hanging off the wire.
Yeah. And what about the woods then? What were they doing in the woods? Do they cut trees down or?
Well, if anything, got rough winter, they blew down. They'd saw them up. Obviously, there weren't no chainsaws that time of day. They used to have the either side, one either end.
Two-man saw.
Oh yeah, and just keep the woods tidy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about, did they breed pheasants or were they wild pheasants and partridge?
Well, they could try, if there was any left, they'd try and catch them up. And then they used to come down the village, see if anybody got any broody hens in case they found any nests. If the vermin had eggs and they found some eggs, and they'd rear them up like that, you see.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And then they'd take them back when they were sort of young chicks.
Oh yeah, as soon as those poults, so they could run about, and they used to feed them up. Then they used to let them go. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So it was much sort of more wild and natural then.
Oh
it wasn't
yeah,
sort of bred for it.
They buy thousands in there, but that wasn't the case then. You see, they weren't about to buy. You see,
no.
If they got 50 or 60 pheasants or partridge of a day shooting, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Because now they go in the hundreds, don't they?
Right.
Oh,
okay.
God, yeah.
And how does it work then? I mean, where do you in Pirton? Where are the fields that the people tend to shoot over or used to shoot over?
Well, all Laurie Franklin's ground. Anything from Highdown right across to near Eccleford. Greenmer Hill.
Yes.
All the fields around there, because you're getting off about 800 or 900 acres here. See.
Yeah.
All round on the edges of Charlton and Offley and Lily.
Yeah. What were the Pirton fields called then?
Well, you've got Recklin's Piece, Longshot, the Marm, Offley Field. Then you got...
That's going up Wood Lane, all those?
No, then Danefield we used to do, because that was all partridge, you see, and there's a lot of meadows up there, because that was all sheep that time of day. And of course, then you come here to Greenmer Hill, Berryfield, and all the way around,
Yeah. Okay, so can you tell me about what happened the day of the shoot? How did that work?
Well, we'd all meet down Laurie Franklin's for about 8:30, and once you was there, you'd get on a lorry. When a lorry, two lorries Lorry Franklin's lorries, lorry and lorry,
Yeah.
you know.
And you were the beaters.
Yeah, a Ford Thames Trader, which was the main one, what used to take us.
Yeah.
And they used to have another little comma lorry, which they used to put the game in and all the gear, and anybody got dogs, you know, and off we used to go.
Oh right. So
Yeah.
there are dogs. So you got beaters, dogs.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
guns.
Yeah.
With the dogs.
Well, no, the guns would always meet the Priory, that you know, for a drink and that. Then they'd meet us wherever we were going to start.
Right.
Once we got lined up, and once the guns were there, you could start pushing the fields over.
Okay. So how did it work then? I mean, where did the guns? How did they know where to stand, or you know, all
Well,
that?
it's obviously if whatever field you're going to,
Yeah.
that'd be one end. You'd always do it towards it if there's a wood there, because the birds would always head for the trees and the wood, and the guns would just stand in front of them, you know. And
But
pop
why
them.
did they have pegs, or how was that?
Oh yeah, there was 8 guns, and they all had pegs, and they used to draw the numbers of what stand I'd have, and that's how it went on.
Oh, so were the
br-
pegs set out then beforehand?
Oh yes, they'd be there all for the season.
Oh right.
Yeah, because there weren't no crops on, and that was just ploughed fields then, you see.
Oh, so what time of year are we talking about then?
Well, we'd start parties about any time from the middle of September. All parties, all across the fields. You didn't touch the woods till middle of November, till all the leaves and everything was off the trees, and that's when you went in the woods for the pheasants.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
So you hadn't got the pheasants in the fields; they were in the woods.
No, you
Well,
would
wherever.
get out, yeah, but there's mainly parties, because there was a lot of parties then, you know, English parties as well as the Frenches, you know, the redlegs as we call them. They're 2 different sorts. See, nowadays they don't touch the English partridge. They wouldn't shoot them, but because the others, the redlegs, the French partridge, they come from abroad, and they put thousands of them down different sites, you know, different estates.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah.
So how it goes in? I mean, who tells you to start beating or?
Well, once we're lined out, the
Yeah.
keeper will blow his whistle, then you just start going across, and
yeah.
and that's it. Sometimes there'll be plenty of partridge, and other times there will be hardly any, but that's just your luck.
So how many drives would you have then?
Or you'd have 4 or 5 before dinner.
Mm.
Then we'd have dinner up high down. Sometimes it was a bit near Itching and Charlton, Dog Kennel Farm. And of course, then if we was at Dog Kennel Farm at Charlton, the guns would go back to the Priory and have their not proper cooked dinner and
Yeah.
everything,
Oh,
you know,
right,
a few
yeah.
bottles of wine. But if we was in Pirton, they'd go up High Down House, and we'd go in any of the barns in High Down Farm,
So-
or even down in the village. We'd anywhere to sit about. They used to put bales down for us, and
So you didn't have a cook. The beaters
no,
didn't get a cooked
we had
lunch.
to take our own. We had to take our own sarnies. Alice used to knock us a grub up, me and my brother, and that was it.
So and were the dogs in with this as well?
Oh, so people, you could take dogs,
Yeah.
you know, as long as they behaved and was with you. But the guns would always had dogs,
Ah.
you know, for picking the pheasants up.
Yeah.
I mean, they was all trained properly. They'd sit there and they'd never go till they had the order. You know.
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
And so the dogs went and fetched the pheasants.
They used to retrieve all the game. Yeah.
And what happened to the game? Oh, so I'm going back a bit. You had dinner, and then what happened in the
Well,
afternoon?
you'd have another couple of drives after dinner,
Yeah.
depending on the weather, because if that was a real cloudy, wet day, I mean, that'd soon pull in. You'd get sort of November time, and
Yeah. And then what happened to the game when they'd been picked up by the dogs?
Well, I suppose the guns used to take what they wanted, and the rest used to be sold on, I suppose. And
Yeah.
obviously they only Ratcliffe had got customers for them, because they was worth a lot of money then.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was
But they ain't worth nothing nowadays.
no.
No, I'm afraid not.
And what about any other sort of shoots that you had in the village?
Well, because I was on the farm then, we used to have a air shoot soon after Christmas or February time,
Yeah.
you know.
Were there a lot of hares?
Oh, there was hundreds about, because you don't see none, not at all nowadays.
No.
When we used to have a hare shoot for Weedons and Walkers combined,
Mm-hmm.
we used to start along the Exton Road
Yeah.
and push all Dick Franklin's ground, what they call Pegston Common, right across to Danefield, which was Laurie, what he farmed, into Weedon's ground. And time you'd done all that lot, that'd be nearly dinner time.
Yeah.
And you'd probably have 80 or 100 hares, or perhaps sometimes more. Because everybody was walking with guns then, because a silly old hare would never get up before you nearly tread on it. That's still the same today, you know. You nearly tread on them before they get up. That's why these here coursers and that do no trouble catching them, you see, because as soon as they get up, they whip the old leads off the dogs. But anyway, get back to the hares, and of course, then we used to, dinner time, we used to go up Phil Walker's and stand walks, have a dinner, and then we used to do all his ground after dinner.
That's that elm tree.
Yeah, all Old Road and round the Allock Pit, and Tom Trussell and Tom and Joe used to come with us.
Joe
Thrussell, you know, they used to be down Shillerton Road.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I know. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And what about these hares? Did you eat them?
Oh, I mean, everybody had hares that time of day, jugged there.
What? That was about the 60s.
Oh yeah, early 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's plenty about, you see.
Yes.
As I said, you could be about them fields a good few weeks later, and you'd hardly know you'd been, because if you started knocking the ground about for drilling, you know, you'd be putting hares up all the while. And especially on the hills, you could see them running about, especially March time, you know, boxing and.
Yeah.
Well, that was beautiful to watch, because they didn't do no harm.
No.
Not like rabbits, but
No.
yeah.
No. What about
that-
what about poaching and stuff like that? Was
people
in the
used-
past, did poaching go on?
Oh, people used to poach all the while. Yeah, yeah.
Not get into trouble for it.
You would if you got caught. Yeah, honest to God. People used to get locked up that time of day for poaching.
Did they?
Yeah, Nat and Bob Allen from Pegsden and Bracky Barwick from Shillerton, they used to do time in Bedford Prison for poaching. Yeah, they did. 2 or 3 months.
Oh dear.
Arthur Sop caught them several times, you know, lots of times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd take them in and get, you know, Bill Warby, they'd arrest them, and that was it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bill Warby was the policeman.
He was a policeman, yeah.
Yes.
And others before him. But I mean, poaching was everybody was. If you see a pheasant or a bit of roadkill that time of day, oh, you sat eyed it and you thought you got
A decent meal.
won the polls.
Okay.
Yeah.